Hi, my name is Richard Howie from Audio Dynamite Recording Studio. This motivational recording is presented to you by Ron Bishop. Ron is a New Zealander with a typical Kiwi accent. The simplicity in which he introduces his ideas to you make for easily understood listening. On the second part of the recording, Ron will be giving you some exercises to do, so please have a pen and paper handy. Here's Ron Bishop with the power of belief.
Hi, my name's Ron Bishop, and today I want to talk to you about how to think like a winner. How to think like a winner. Several years ago, I used to be in Toastmasters. I joined the Toastmasters Club, and I was 16 years in the Toastmasters, and I won a lot of speech competitions, and I really enjoyed it. It was the best thing I ever did. But anyway, I got to the stage where I'd won all the prizes, and I was losing interest because it was going as far as I could go in Toastmasters. So I decided one day to be a professional speaker, public speaker. And I thought, what will I talk about? And I thought, well, why don't I talk about personal self-development, how to think like a winner, positive thinking, and how to have a positive mental attitude. So I did a DVD. This is the DVD here, How to Think Like a Winner. And it's about an hour long. But rather than play it to you, I'm going to talk about it because I'll bring it up to date, because some of it's out of date and I need to bring it up to date. So this is part one of How to Think Like a Winner. Right? Now, how do you think like a winner? Many years ago, I was a debt collector. I was a manager of a major finance company for a while, and then till I had a mental breakdown. And I then went back into business as a debt collector. And I used to drink. I used to be a sheep shearer. I've done a lot of occupations. One of the things that I was a sheep shearer. We lived in Tynwald in Ashburton, and every night after work we would go to the pub, the local tavern, and drink gallons of beer and tell a lot of lies. When I left Timaru, left Ashburton, I hadn't seen the boys for a while, and I went back in there one day with my collar and tie on because I was a businessman. And the men came up to me and said, "Hello, Ron, what have you been doing? What are you doing now?" And I would say, "Well, I'm in debt recovery business." And they wonder what the hell that was, debt recovery. So I'd spend some time explaining what it was. Anyway, in the finish, I got sick of that, and I said to them, when they say to me, "What are you doing these days?" I say, "I'm a debt collector." And you should see them go, run a mile away from me. Didn't want to talk to me once they knew I was a debt collector. They liked to talk to me when I was a finance company manager, because finance company managers lend money, but when I was a debt collector. Now, the moral of that story is this. Often we judge people by their occupations, don't we? What they do for a living. And we put them in a box. We judge them by the colour of their skin sometimes, or what they look like, and the occupations. Well, we're all the same. It doesn't matter who we are. We're all on the one level. But society puts us on different levels. You got to be natural, be who you are, right? Occupation's got nothing to do with it. So when I became a public speaker, I called myself a motivational coach because I teach people motivational skills, you see. Now, what's motivation mean? Well, motivation means you're going forward. Or you're either going forward in life or you're going backwards. And I teach people motivational skills, self-motivational skills. I call myself a motivational coach. When I was younger, my mother, I had a wonderful mother. She was absolutely fantastic. But anyway, one day I walked into the kitchen and Mother was crying. And I said, Mum, why are you crying? She said, Ronnie, I haven't got enough money to pay the bills. Now, don't get me wrong, my father was a good man, a very generous man, but he was a compulsive gambler. He gambled all his money on racehorses, and he drank a lot of beer and smoked a lot of cigarettes. So he didn't have a lot of ambition in life. So Mother struggled. Well, there were 7 of us kids. I went over to my mother when she was crying in the kitchen. I put my arm around Mum and I said, listen, Mum, if I'm lucky enough to find a woman who will marry me and I get married, my wife is never going to cry because she doesn't have enough money to pay the bills. Well, that seemed to cheer my mother up, and a smile came across her face. And now, Dad was a good man, as I said. He was a very hard worker, but he was a compulsive gambler. And it was hard for Mum in those days. One day when I was in the debt collection business, I called on this particular home. And a little girl came to the door. After I knocked on the door, the little girl came and she was in a thin dress. It was winter time, bare feet, a runny nose, and she was obviously very miserable. She was living in poverty. And I asked for a mum, and a mum came to the door, and I said, listen, I'm very sorry about this, but I've come to collect your doctor's bills. You owe the doctor some money, and I've come to collect the money. And I signed her up for $5 a week so she could pay off the $5 a week. When I left that home, I felt sick. I thought, holy Moses, why should that little girl have to suffer? Why does she suffer? Why can't her mother and father look after her? Well, one of the problems is in society today, no one's ever sat her mother down and taught her how to think. Her mother thinks poor. Her thinking is wrong. She needs to change the way she thought. And something you don't get taught at school. You don't get taught how your brain works and how to think because we become how we think. Okay? As I went about my business as a debt collector, my attitude started to change, and I started to have some empathy for these people. And some people just couldn't pay the bills. They didn't have the $5 a week. Other people were so grateful. I remember going to see a lady once. She was in the same church as me. And I knocked on the door and said I've come to see her about this account that she owed. Well, she was so grateful that I'd come and seen her. She'd been worrying about this bill for a long time. And she said, Ron, I'm so glad you come. I've been really worried. And I signed her up, I don't know, $10 a week or something to pay the bill off. And I became a sort of a counsellor, a person that I wasn't just a debt collector. I would say, well, okay, you got a bit of a problem here. How can I help you? And we'd sit down and I'd do a little budget for people, you see. And I got very popular. I knew all the bad debtors and I'd go and see them and try and help them with their life. So it was very rewarding. Now, I first learnt about positive thinking. I got involved with a company called Golden Chemical Products. It was a direct sales company, and my wife and I, we went on a trip to Hawaii to a conference. And at this conference, they talked about positive thinking, and I had never heard of positive thinking before. And they told us to buy a book called Think and Grow Rich and all the different books and things, and to practice how to think like a winner. And I was excited. I thought, gee, this is great. Absolutely fantastic. It was like taking a blanket off my face. I knew if I learned how to be a positive thinker, if I could do things more, I could help people. And today, here I am doing this video. I'm trying to help people. I've read hundreds of books on positive thinking, personal self-development. I've been to many seminars. I got involved in the direct sales business as a salesman, and I've been to a lot of motivational conferences, read a lot of books, and everything I teach you is not new. It's been around for years. So here I am teaching you about positive thinking. Now I'm going to end this now. This is the end of part 1, and then I'm going to come back again shortly and do part 2. You'll be able to listen to these in parts, okay? So I'll put this up now and I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Bye-bye.